Microphone. The microphone is not switched on. Sorry. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. This really does give me an opportunity to take a stand in the European Parliament on this difficult subject of the Troika. As a member of the European Parliament, I was elected on a particular platform, and that was I would come to European Parliament and bang away at three things. First of all, the responsibility of the Troika for the disaster in Greece. Secondly, that there must be compensation for Greece and for the citizens because of the losses they've had. And then thirdly, that what's happened in Greece must never happen elsewhere to other countries. Now, this was because there was a fight underway in Greece. It started in 2011. A small number of academics took up the cudgels against the Troika and its works because we felt that the treaty of the EU was going to be violated by the Commission. And in 2011 I wrote this book, which explains, it gives chapter and verse details about the violations of the treaties organised by the Commission in Greece. And there are questions here to which we have not been given answers. First of all, the so-called support for Greece. The Commission took unto itself the right to represent the countries vis-à-vis their creditors, vis-à-vis the lenders. And that means members of the Troika are speaking on behalf of the lenders. And I think this is a major contribution because it's assumed that the Commission is there in order to promote the common interest of the EU member states and the EU citizens. At the same time, since they are speaking on behalf of the lenders, and this is what's set out in the first Memorandum of Understanding, and that's what is set out in the first loan agreement between Greece and the Eurozone, of course they have to actually take the money and impose very harsh policies so that the lenders are going to be reimbursed. Now, secondly, the memorandum is an agreement between Greece and the lenders, as if the Commission was completely out of it, the equation. But any memorandum contains in great detail 50, 80, 100 pages setting out the measures which Greece has to take for it to receive lending from its creditors. And that means people's wages, their salaries, it means pensions, it means a whole range of social services. And that is outside of, that is not within the remit of the European Union. It's not, those are competences which reside with the member states. They have no business straying into those areas and taking decisions which have an impact there. The decision concerning the memorandum incorporates a decision taken by ECOFIN and is published in the official journal of the European Union. In other words, decisions are taken by ECOFIN and that becomes part and parcel of community law. And it sets out in detail, in excruciating detail, wage levels, salary levels, will there be cuts in people's income, will major enterprises be privatised, and that clearly is in violation, it's in breach of community law. And the Commission has to shoulder that responsibility because of their major responsibility which they have shouldered there. Now, this is not merely something which can be reduced to this individual petition. It's a much broader area, obviously. Now, I've seen this for myself. The first law, if you look at the laws which came along under the memorandum, now you might say this was adopted by the Greek government. There are 3 articles in it. The first sets up the support mechanism, the second article of the whole memorandum itself, and then thirdly the Greek acts of legislation which are needed to implement the memorandum. In other words, that has been set out in exquisite detail It says this is what you have to do, otherwise you're not going to get the money. And when I was a member of the Greek Parliament, every time I came round and I said 19th of November 2012, if you have to vote these laws, otherwise the Troika is not going to give you the money. And when that stark choice was put to the members of the Greek Parliament, they were forced to go along with that. What happened to the money? Now, we know that so far Greece has received 215 billion euros. Is it possible for a country to take 215 billions in loans and to have 1.5 million unemployed? Is it possible to have the growing ranks of shuttered shops? And I wonder, this is really a question to Mr. Katainen, and I've asked that question. My question was, where did all the money go? And Mr. Katainen says, well, I don't know where the money went, and I can tell him where the money went. 150 billions out of the 214 billion went to the bonds owned by foreign banks, and it was used to shore up and to save, to rescue banks in Germany, France and elsewhere. 50 billion went to the Greek oligarchs, to keep the Greek oligarchs afloat. Now, is this just a responsibility for Greece? Did the Commission know what was happening and where that money was going? You have powers to scrutinise what's done by the Greek government if they exceed their powers. This was, for example, Jean-Claude Juncker. When he came here as President-designate, as ECR, my group, I put him a question, and this is what he replied. He said, the Europeans knew that at some date Greece would have to face a financial crisis. And he carries on. It is clear that Greece should have addressed those problems. This is Juncker himself. He knew the problem existed. And then he carries on. I discussed this with the Germans, the French, with Trichet and with the European Commission. And I discussed the crisis. He then says that I knew that France and Germany had earned huge amounts of money because of the situation in Greece. But I was not able to go public with this simple fact. In other words, Mr. Juncker and all of you knew what was happening in Greece, but because of the huge amounts of debt, banks in France and in Germany were making large amounts. This is called odious debt. That is the technical term, and under international law, this should be cancelled.
The specific,
and not with a general public debate in this room.
Thank you. That was simply, I read the petition through very carefully. I listened to exactly what the petitioner has been saying. Mr. Marias, my heart breaks when I see what is currently happening in Greece. I absolutely agree on that front, but we do not have the time.
Because this petition is 50 pages, I have read it and I am referring on the petition exactly, on the legal issues that the Commission has raised and on the other. So
my
give me 1 minute
point,
only.
Mr. Marias, is that you are addressing and you are naming a number of persons not being present in this room.
You can invite them here so we can have a discussion.
We cannot have them here, and this is not the time and the place for a general discussion about Juncker, about Merkel, about other people.
I didn't say Merkel. Because Merkel at least is not the head of, typically, the head of the EU.
Listen,
can I have 1 minute to conclude?
I give you 10 seconds to
10
conclude.
seconds, no, give me 24 as in the basketball. So, τελειώνοντας, κυρία Πρόεδρε.
Thank you very much. Just a word of conclusion, Madam Chairman. The situation is now perfectly clear. There's been a breach of community law. There's been conflict of interests within the Commission as well. And that is why I propose that this be taken to the Ombudsman. And I condemn the European Central Bank, which did not agree to appear here. And I have kept up this fight in the Petitions Committee and in other committees, because the time has come. It's high time that the Commission gave the Greek population compensation for the tens of billions of euros they have lost. Thank you very much.